the last time, so I thought it'd be prudent to maybe ask what I would have done. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Resident Evil 3 definitely has potential. I mean, it's not like it was, especially when you consider the fact that the original game was definitely done under a budget. That's the ultimate irony of this entire situation. I mean, the original Resident Evil 3 in 1999 was thrown together, and while it did introduce a bunch of new ideas and a bunch of new things, honestly, you know, it introduced a bunch of new mechanics like the dodge mechanic and added some extra stuff to the story. Nemesis can't be understated, which is another point that really needs to be addressed here. Oh god, where do I start with a Nemesis? Sorry, I had this whole thing planned out in my head, and honestly, it's not gone the way, honestly, as you'd expect, it's not gone exactly the way I expected it to go. Okay, I should probably start with what went wrong. The game a lot of people felt that the game was missing a few things. Nemesis was introduced way too early and doesn't seem like a threat, and to be honest, he really doesn't. I mean, they gave him not so much a glowing, but an obvious weak spot. The drain demos were only in for like maybe 10 minutes. And on top of that, it cuts out the clock tower, it cuts out, well, Barry. Barry's the biggest offence to ever be taken out of the game, to be perfectly honest. So, without going into too many details that have been covered before by the Spear Hunter and various other people, I'm just going to say what I would have done for better. So, to start, even did this. So what I'd do is I'd have it in the first person view by all means, but have Jill see things, like when she's walking around her apartment, maybe she hears crows, and then turns and sees Forrest Spire's body, against a wall being pecked to death by the crows. She realises it's not real and runs off to the bathroom. When she runs off to the bathroom and pours water on her face, she hears a voice going, "Jill, help," and then turns and you see Richard in the bathtub dying. She can't handle that anymore. Or she's overreacting, like, no, it's not real, runs out, and then she sees Forrest on the ground, like, eating Kenneth. I know that's not what actually happened in the mansion, but, the STARS members becoming the dead. She runs to her bed, and, she tries to run to her bed, thinking, okay, it's a dream, it's not real. Then Richard comes out as a zombie, and then she starts to get overwhelmed by them. Then she wakes up and suddenly, I mean, you can even throw in Chris, like, the door knocks and she runs to the door, and then Chris runs through injured, and then just as he's coming in to help her, he gets impaled by the Tyrant. And as it tosses his body away, and the zombies are getting closer, the Tyrant impales her. Then she wakes up. She freaks out a little bit and then gets the call from Brad to meet him at the bar jack or something. I mean, by all means, keep Brad's whole thing if you want to. If this is a retelling in a different way, definitely have him. Have him have him be Jill's closest confidant, and get rid of the coward thing if you want to. I know this is a thing a few people are mixed on, but I'd keep that. And as she goes out, like, it's, he's telling her, get out real quick, because one of the things that this one did really well was show that Jill doesn't really notice the chaos until she leaves. So we literally do have the whole Jill does actually find that just get out and then find the zombies that are happening, but maybe not make it as over the top. And by that I mean, have a few people in here. I mean, you can even have it that Jill leaves her apartment and she hears people in the other apartments crying and screaming or fighting, and it gets a little, and she just ignores it. There's a bit of coughing here and there, and then eventually she just goes off, gets into the streets, and then starts to see the zombies zombies appearing. And it gets a bit more chaotic, so she runs into the bar jack and finds Brad. They do their little talk. They do their whole what's going on in the city, and the whole full well what's going on in the city. We try to report that this is just like the Arkley Mountains thing. You do all that. But then you have Brad and Jill split up. Don't have him turn into the zombie right away. Don't have him bitten right away. That's you got to build up to that, because one of the major annoyances of the new thing is that Nemesis doesn't actually get to kill Brad. I know it's a small thing, but it is important. He doesn't actually get to kill any STARS members, so it really doesn't explain why his zombie's as powerful as it is. So, have them have a thing where they agree to go to the police station, establish that they need to get something, they need to get some supplies to get out of the city, but all of their stuff is in the STARS office at the police station. So, prepare to go over there, and have Jill do a whole thing where she has to get to the police station, but she has to take the back streets because things are getting slightly worse, and she's hoping that maybe it's been barricaded off or something. Then have the whole thing where she gets to the police station, but then just before, as she gets in there, she gets into the police station, Brad turns up. And then he's killed. Well, actually, no. You know what would be better? Jill gets to the police station, but Brad isn't there yet. So she assumes he'll be in the STARS office. She maybe meets up with Marvin, and he's talking, and he suggests she buckles down in here and stays here. Doesn't actually get involved. Doesn't leave, but she makes it clear she's going to leave. Or better yet, just don't have Marvin at the police station, where he's probably somewhere else. She makes her way to the top, to where the STARS office is. Have an alternative route before it's have an alternative route open before it's locked off. I mean, the only way I can think of is if she goes upstairs and cuts through the library bit. Maybe the door's still open, maybe there's a police officer still alive up there. So she runs through, goes to the STARS office to pick up a few things, though while she's up there, maybe then Nemesis can turn up around around that time. Maybe just as she's leaving the police station, funnily enough, have her come to the police station, then just as she's about to leave, Brad turns up and he's looking pretty badly injured. And then as he comes closer, a tentacle grabs him, pulls him closer, and then you establish the Nemesis. And you can have Marvin turn up. Hell, you can even have Marvin turn up. And Jill tell him to get in the police station. And barricade the door or something, get in the police station. So although that would block the door, so Leon and Claire couldn't get in. No, leave Marvin out of it. He kills Brad, and then he kills Brad in front of Jill, and then you get your life selection. Keep the life selections in. Maybe the plan is to either try and fight him and sneak past, or give him the runaround, run back into the police station to give him the potential runaround. Like maybe lose him in there and run out. Then once you're finally out the police station, run off, make your way over to the next little bit, which would be the grill or wherever you want to meet Carlos. Hell, you could even do like that little donut shop thing, like meet him there or meet him downtown. I don't know, rescue him from something, help him fight something off. Help him fight off a crowd of zombies, or, lead him one way. Have them introduce themselves. And then have Jill just, casually explain to him about what's happened. Explain that there's a big honking thing coming after her. I mean, Nemesis could turn up again. But, okay, this is a small-time thing. This won't be story-based, but Nemesis's appearances need to be a bit more open. Like, one of the things that needs to happen is the scripted events ruin what made Nemesis Nemesis. So, yeah, the first one is scripted, and then the next time he turns up, maybe have another scripted sequence where he turns up again, but other than that, have him following her around the city and make it a whole, you have to run away from him, or he leaves traps. Like, implement how smarter he is, how much of an upgrade he is from the Mr. X, by leaving, he leaves traps around to, like explosives or equipment or mines or something, to not only trap her but also alert him as to where she is. Once you've done that, it makes him a bit more of a threat, because the thing with Mr. X is he could follow you everywhere in an enclosed space, but the entire point of 3 is that you're in an open space. Also, 3 also had the problem of having you in small areas that you can't backtrack to later. So, yeah, that needs to change. So, yeah, have Nemesis have a few more tricks up his sleeve. Don't just make him a Mr. X with a tentacle. But have multiple ways of getting around him, like maybe a few sequences you could sneak around him, maybe there's a few explosives like in one area you could use to take him down temporarily, but it's not going to be there if he turns up in that area again. Like a one-off takedown situation, especially if you're going to backtrack through the area, because it makes him a bit more of a threat. He'll be able to follow you into places. They could be explosives, you could even leave a few of those any alpha parasite things around. I mean, the parasites could also have a special ability where if you don't kill them fast enough, they squeal or let out a sound that the Nemesis can hear that alerts him to where you are. Yeah, make it a little easier for him to get you. Make it a little harder. And have him learn from certain things. Like if you keep using grenades, like he learns how to just avoid certain attacks, maybe. I mean, it's just an idea. I don't know. I know it would be difficult. I know the first thing that people are going to say is, well, won't this just be additional costs? I still say that the game is using assets and it barely even works as it is, and it's a high budget game, so it has no excuse for the stuff it's doing. I mean, still keep some of the character development for Mikhail and Tyrell. I mean, these are just the small basic things. I'll probably have a proper discussion with on another podcast, but these are just a few quick thoughts on things I think could improve it. But some of the things that needs to change is don't introduce Nemesis too early. Play up a bit of Jill's PTSD, because not only is it a good nod to the first game, but it's also, you know, plays up the damage it's actually done to her. Maybe don't kill off Brad so easily with a zombie bite and make him completely pointless like he did in the new remake. And to top it all off, don't make the Nemesis an actual threat. I mean, hell, you could even have him do things where he could set traps where new weapons are, or like he could find where new weapons are and just leave little traps there. Or he could wait to ambush you in random areas, like maybe on one playthrough he will confront you just as you're about to grab the shotgun, but then in other playthroughs he won't. You know, keep it random. That's all I can really think of for now, but these are just some rough ideas. I'd like to go into a bit more in depth, but I think I need to play the game again to really rethink things over, and also maybe have other to suggest things. Thank you if you decide to listen to this, and, well, I'll see you on a proper podcast.